All right, hello and welcome, everyone. We're coming to you live right now on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Welcome to another live recording of the Managing Partners podcast. My name is Kevin Daisy. I'll be your host. I'm also the founder of Array Digital. We are a digital marketing agency that specializes in working with law firms. I have a special guest today, Lawrence. Thanks for joining me. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. So I want to get started and jump right into it. I always want to know what your story is, how you got to where you are. So give us the goods. How did you get to where you are today and in the practice that you're in?
Okay. Well, I've been practicing. It'll be 38 years next month. And I come from a long line of lawyers. We had a great uncle who probably was the first late in life lawyer in 1929. And my father, who is 95 years old, is basically, we practiced together for over 30 years. Right now, I'm a solo practitioner, practice 99.9% family law. And, way back when, I guess I started as a state court prosecutor here in Florida. And for 3 years, tried everything from DUIs to murder, rape, and robbery. And after that, we were general trial lawyers. And I'd say for about the last 15 or 20 years, almost exclusively family law. And my 95-year-old father just retired about 2 or 3 years ago.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. So he's put the effort in there. So yeah, a long line of lawyers. So you're an expert at what you do, hands down.
Yeah. When I was a young lawyer, I used to describe it like this to the clients. I would say, I don't hunt, but what I understand in Northeast Florida, a lot of people do. And from what I understand is that they send the hunting dogs out in the field, the young dogs out with the older dogs, and that's how they learn to hunt. And that's basically what happened to me. I was fortunate that I practiced with a couple of lawyers who were tops of the profession, and I got to learn how to do it right.
That's excellent. You can't put a price on that. So you had excellent mentors that were able to show you the ropes. It's great.
Yep. So anyway, currently that worked me up to, and to answer the question of how I got to where I am today, that was part of it. I think my father always emphasized doing work with the Bar Association, in this case, the Florida Bar. And eventually I became board certified. Florida is, we have a board certification program that's probably, that's why I'm a former chair of the committee, so I can tell you, it's extremely rigorous. There's testing, peer review. You have to pass an exam that's, basically kind of cruel. And anyway, so once you pass that, it kind of opens a few doors for you. And then I became a fellow of the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers, which in the family law world is one of the more exclusive groups in the country. And so, after all that, and then it helped to have the general trial experience. I was, put it this way, I think over time I've sort of risen to the, upper echelon of the local family law attorneys. And in terms of, how I got to where I am, I've taken a number of marketing courses over time. And somebody had used the expression, which I understand is common in marketing, about they got to know you, like you, and trust you. And at the time, I wasn't very happy about, the volume of cases and the quality of cases. And the guy made the comment to me that he says, look, he goes, you sound personable enough on the phone. He says, with your credentials, you're going to get immediate trust. He says, your problem is they don't know you. And so we embarked on a campaign from there. And I was mentioning before we came on that I'd used a PR firm. And one of the principal of the firm, which, by the way, as I also mentioned, happens to be a close friend of my wife who'd been in marketing for her entire adult life, said, when you're not worried about the phone ringing, you want to concentrate on public relations. When the phone's not ringing and you need to get it to ring, you want to advertise. And it's kind of a sliding scale depending on what's going on. And that has held true. So I took to heart, and between that and some of these sort of lawyer inspirational courses I've been to, a big thing is that if you're not the go out and meet everybody in the room kind of person, then you got to work on your strengths. And for a lot of people, that's things like accomplishing board certification. A lot of states have certification programs, a lot don't. And another part of it is for example, writing articles, things like that, to get people to recognize you as an authority in your subject. And of course, the first and foremost thing for family law attorneys, because candidly, probably the single most reliable method of attracting clients is word of mouth, is you have to do a good job for your clients.
I hear that over and over again. I love it.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. I make the analogy. I have a sister who been in the restaurant industry for a while, and if you compared it to eating out at a restaurant, if you have one bad meal at a restaurant, you're probably not going to go back. So if you have a bad experience with a lawyer, that person's not going to refer other people to you. And I tell my clients all the time in just very candid terms, I'm a family law attorney, not a personal injury attorney, as in I'm not going to get rich off of any one case. The way I make my money is to make happy clients who go out and tell everybody what a great lawyer I am. And 100%. That makes the difference.
100%. Love it. You got to do good work. And that same holds true for us, right? It's, we got to do good work, or we're just, if you don't do good work, then you have to advertise, because you just have to get more people through the door, and it becomes even harder. But if you can do both and have good PR, good client experiences, and then still attract the ones that don't know you exist, then you got a great program. So 100% agree.
Yeah. Now, currently, I'm at a place where I'm fortunate. I mean, this way, when I left the prosecutor's office, and I was a very young lawyer, I had a court appearance in front of a felony judge that I had known from being a prosecutor. And I was lamenting about the fact that, these deadbeat clients just won't pay me. I mean, this is horrible. And he said, Lawrence, most lawyers work the vast majority of their career to be able to represent clients that are willing and able to pay big fees. And so, I've been practicing 38 years. It takes a while to get there.
Well, congrats on that. And so I was actually going to ask you, what do you do to get clients? And you've kind of answered that a little bit. And, think about if you did a bad job or you didn't do good work, you basically cut yourself off from that whole entire family of people, right? That could refer you to their sister, their brother, you're done. If your name comes up to that person, oh yeah, don't use them. So you have to do good work,
You're absolutely right. And it's particularly true in family law. I mean, I don't know this for a fact. It's what I call the world according to Lawrence for a minute, but I bet 3 times as many people have contact with the judicial system through a divorce probably as everything else combined. And as a result, everybody and their brother has advice for you. And as it relates to this conversation, if you get, like I say, you get somebody who's unhappy, the word will spread fast.
100%. And then Here, the thing is, you do good work sometimes, and getting a review or testimonial or whatever, it's like pulling teeth sometimes. But if you do bad work, they'll be sure to tell everybody without any effort or any without you asking. They're going to do it. So, yeah. So yeah, I think that's the fundamentals for anyone in business. Do good work, do a good job, take care of your clients, and it will come back. So it's. And then the other things like we do marketing, advertising, whatever. Is how much easier that is if we have a client that does good work? Much easier. Much easier.
I would hope. One of the reasons I work so much is to get that reputation.
Yeah. Well, it's just great. I mean, honestly, we're very selective on who we work with, but if we're sending leads to a client that's not good at talking to people or closing them, converting them to clients, or they have such a bad reputation, like that's not going to work out well for us, because I can make your phone ring all day, but if you're terrible and you have bad reviews, and then it's just throwing more money down the tubes for us. So it's not, as a client, we would say, hey, this is probably not the best fit, but so 100% on board with all that. So a couple of things about, so you're a sole practitioner. Do you have support staff, or how's that set up?
Yeah, it's funny. I have changed the business model a number of times over the years. And I would tell other lawyers that when you see something that's not working, then fix it. Don't wait till things get terrible. Right now, I have a full-time paralegal and a part-time administrative assistant, and that's it. And again, in family law, the vast majority of family law attorneys are, 1, 2, and 3 person firms. There are definitely big firms out there with family law departments, but they are, they're the minority. The majority are small firms.
Yeah, and that's what we see as well. And our family law clients, for the majority that I can think of off the top of my head, are all 2, 3, or solo practitioners, pretty much. They might have some additional like support staff, paralegals, assistants, but it tends to be, as far as the lawyers or attorneys are concerned, just a handful at most. So yeah, I see the same thing here, and we have clients around the country. I'm here in Virginia, but that seems to see, we seem to see the same thing. So, so as far as handling, your clients, is there any kind of tools, software, things you do to kind of keep track with the cases that or the families that you're helping?
Yes, I'm a big advocate of case management software. It's basically, generally speaking, it's sold in modules. So there's usually a calendaring module and an accounting module, and like a time and billing system, and then various other things depending on the sophistication of the software. The calendaring piece is just critical for everything. I can't remember the guy's name, but somebody actually wrote a book, and not for lawyers, just in general. In fact, it's coming back to me. It's called Getting Things Done. And the concept is that, why stress out over all these things you got to do? And I'm talking in the scheme of almost everything, not just court deadlines, but if let's say you want to attend a function of some kind, or you want to remind yourself to do some marketing thing, then why worry about that? Why worry about it? Get it on the calendar. You can get it off your mind. You put some reminders in, and it will tell you what to do and when to do it. I always draw the comparison between doctors and lawyers. Compared to doctors, they got this stuff down to a science. You think about it, what doctors do is they show up and perform medical services. The rest of it, they delegate to somebody else.
You walk away from all the rest of it. Yeah. And they have appointments every block. Boom, 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 boom.
Well, yeah, the one thing they did that most lawyers in most states don't allow lawyers to do is they converted their time and services into a product. In other words, they charge you by the procedure. They don't charge you for the amount of time it took to perform the procedure.
Gotcha. Oh yeah. So there was a newer firm I was speaking with. I think she was in South Carolina, maybe North Carolina, but newer practice. But they've been up and running for about a year or so. Kind of started in the middle of COVID, which was challenging, I'm sure. But they were doing a almost like a pricing model, like basically you pay this much and you get this. So almost like you're paying a certain amount per month, flat fee. So I've heard others starting to do that more than billing time.
Yeah, I think it depends on the area of practice and your state's rules. In Florida, in divorce cases, when we make a claim for attorney's fees, we're not allowed to engage in what's called unit billing, which is that idea of I'm going to charge you so much to file a petition, and instead of charging you for my time. But people can definitely do that, like I said, depending on the state and the area of practice.
Okay, interesting. I didn't know that. So thank you. What case software do you recommend, or which software are you using?
I used Tabs 3, and the case management module is Practice Master for probably almost 20 years at this point. I think Clio is the most popular right now. I think if you
that a lot.
Google it, you'd probably come up with 5 or 10 others.
Yeah. Well, I like to ask, as others attorneys are listening in that are getting ready to start, or maybe just started, maybe they haven't pulled the trigger and got some case management software. But Clio is mentioned quite a bit. But I've heard a lot of different types of software. Some people kind of like create their own little, pulled together system. So it's just interesting to see what you're doing.
Yeah. No, let me tell you, I've got a buddy who is just a top-notch lawyer with a big practice, and he's the head guy, and they do all that just using Microsoft Outlook.
I love what you said about the calendar. So if it's not on my calendar, it ain't happening. And my wife is a good example of this. Hope she's not listening, but she'll say, "Hey, you're going to be home tomorrow at 3:00, right?" And I'm like, "Why would I do that?" And she's like, "Well, I told you last week that, I was like, if it's not on my calendar, you can guarantee it's not happening, and I'm not going to know about it." So I was like, I got to get you on my calendar, because I'm going to get in trouble a lot. So
no, I've become a believer. I think some people learn that probably when they're in high school. It took me a while.
It's I live by my calendar. I got it on my phone. I got it on my desktop, and I think as you get a little further on, like I use Calendly, and hey, you can book me for a time if it's a spot. I'll talk to you. Or so you start to delegate a little bit and kind of say, hey, if it's not on my calendar, if I don't have time, it ain't gonna happen. And I'm a believer too. So I live and die by the calendar for sure. So appreciate that. Is there anything you do? You got the PR firm you work with. Anything you do to kind of nurture potential clients? Maybe clients that have had some interest, but maybe you haven't worked with. Is there anything you do to nurture them? Maybe I know you do articles. Is there any newsletters or any kind of things like that you do?
I definitely like to. I write articles. The PR firm gets them published in the good marketable types of places. You can write for your bar association. For example, in Florida, we have the Florida Bar Journal and the Florida Bar News, but mainly it's the Journal. It's a monthly publication. They're always looking for people to submit articles. Same thing, very Florida specific. The family law section of Florida Bar has a publication called The Commentator. Same thing. People, they're always looking for articles. You know, I like to speak whenever I get the chance. You know, I read
Podcast.
yeah, there you go. I read some article. I think it was the cover of an American Bar Journal a few years ago, and it was the cover story was introverts in an extroverted world, and the idea being that the personality type and skills it takes to become a lawyer are more prevalent among introverts than they are extroverts. And so they spent time talking about, well, what can introverts do? Because they're not just, you know, dead in the water. There are lots of things introverted people can do to market themselves, like get involved in bar committees or, you know, write articles.
That's a good point. Everyone, I think there's a lot of people that think lawyers are like in trial in front of people, can just run a whole crowd and take over. And there's a lot of lawyers I know that are completely opposite of that. So.
Well, and I've learned too, yeah, I've always been interested in public speaking, but the fact is it takes practice and you don't really get opportunities to do it that often. You know, I mean, unless you're on some kind of speaking circuit or something, but, you know, the vast majority of lawyers, you go into court, you have a very controlled environment. And so you don't get those butterflies or things you do the same as if you're addressing a large audience. But it just takes some practice. And, you know, if you ask organizations or tell organizations you're available, a lot of times it'll just fall into place.
That makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, I think if it's not comfortable for you, there's a lot of things you can do. You can post on social media. You can write articles. So there's a lot of other ways to get out there. That's a good point. So, but yeah, I think most people's general public is like a lawyer. I'm thinking like someone in court can get up and demand. You know, that's the persona, I guess, if you will. But no, it's a great point. Okay, well, Lawrence, what's the best way for others to connect with you? So we got, again, we have mostly attorneys listening in to our show. Actually, you never know, the you know, local in Florida that might need your help could be tuning in. So, and actually, real quick thing, I think I have my company. We have 7, I think, full-time employees in Florida. So I'm there often and learning more about Florida every day. But what's the best way to connect with you? I do have your website address up here. Everyone, you can check that out. I'll put that in the comments as well.
Yeah. If people wanted to call me or email me, I generally respond. And both my telephone number and email address are on the website. I don't mind telling you now. The email is ldatz@datzlaw.net. It's like LDATZ at DATZLAW.net. And the phone number is area code 904-296-7440.
Excellent. Well, if anyone has some questions for Lawrence, wants to learn more about what he's doing, or sole practitioners out there, how he's doing it and how he's being efficient really with some software, a small support staff, and being successful, reach out to him. Check out this episode again. If you want to see this episode, it's going to be up on our website soon, arraylaw.com/podcast. Also, this is going to be on YouTube as of now, LinkedIn, Facebook. And then soon as we get this edited, Lawrence will be featured on our podcast version, as well as some other content we'll put together for Instagram stories, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that stuff. Lawrence is going to be a superstar when we're done with this. And so stay tuned for seeing Lawrence more often. Also, attorneys listening, you always hear me say this. My firm, we exist to help law firms just like Lawrence is here, help get the word out, attract new clients through digital marketing. That's what we do. Go to arraylaw.com. Reach out to me if you have any questions about marketing, podcasting. I'm actually giving a talk soon to our local chamber of commerce here as a regional chamber, how to start a podcast for your business, step by step. So if someone has any questions about how I do that or whatever, I'm happy to chat with you. And that's it. So Lawrence, anything else you'd like to add before we go?
No, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much. I love the bow tie, by the way.
Thank you.
I messed up on that. I haven't worn a tie in a while, but I like the bow tie.
I was in court a few hours ago, so that was part of it.
Well, I hope you're not in trouble.
No.
Well, Lawrence, thanks so much, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon. Have a good day. Lawrence, hang on with me. We'll chat backstage.
All right.
See everybody.